Breaking right now, an extraordinary TV catfight has broken out between Kay Burley, who I revealed had been axed from Sly News after 30 years yesterday, and her GB News rival, Camilla Tominey. Now, in the left-wing press, this has been branded Camilla Tominey's unsisterly farewell. And Kay Burley, not one to hold back, let me tell you, I know from my own personal experience, posted on X, "Sweetie Camilla Tominey, as the late great Madeleine Albright said, there is a special place in hell for women who don't support other women." Camilla wasn't taking that lying down, though. Posting this picture of Kay Burley, do you remember when she seemed to strangle a fellow journalist outside a court case, and writing, "Yes, as this photographer can vouch." So what was it that Camilla Tominey said to get Kay Burley so riled up? Well, in The Telegraph, where she writes, she headlined the piece, "Farewell Kay Burley, TV's answer to Liz Truss." Now, I think Liz Truss is great, so actually, maybe that's a compliment. But it was clear that that isn't what Camilla went, because she went on to say she let every gaffe wash over her like lettuce in a salad spinner. From empty chairing then Conservative Party Chair James Cleverly, despite him not actually being scheduled to appear on her show, to responding to the terrorist attacks in Paris in 2015 with a picture of a dog with sadness in her eyes, she embraced her Ron Burgundyisms with admirable gusto. "I've always been something of a Wigan street fighter," she once posted, in the style of Lisa Nandy after 6 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. And who could really disagree when she famously described a Scottish independence campaigner as a bit of a knob? Not always the most sisterly of journalists, in 2008, the twice-divorced mother of one reportedly grabbed a female photographer by the throat after being hit in the face with a camera. Is this heavyweight departure a reflection of the fact that even no-nonsense Burley could no longer put up with the channel's seemingly endless diet of biased Israel coverage and climate change scaremongering? Or perhaps she simply couldn't bear being repeatedly whipped in the ratings by arch-rivals GB News? Now, Camilla Tominey went on to say that Burley's former colleague Adam Bolton once told Newsnight that regulator Ofcom, the off-communists as I call them, should shut down GB News for disrupting Britain's broadcast ecology. Yet, Camilla went on, the late-night BBC Current Affairs show has been forced to slim down to 30 minutes, while last week Sly News announced a move to premium content to face off its linear decline. One of Britain's broadcast ecology's great oaks has been felled, but what if a tree falls and no one is there to hear it? But then Victoria Derbyshire got involved too. The Newsnight host absolutely furious with Camilla Tominey too, claiming that her show's ratings were not in decline. So here are three of the big female beasts of the mainstream media going at each other. Let me bring in my superstar panel now, Charlie Sanson and Luca Watson. I mean, Charlie, I found this one particularly hilarious because having worked in the mainstream media for 20 years before I was cancelled, I know that these women all hate each other, despise each other, Charlie. And finally, that's emerging in public. Whose side are you on? Kay Burley or Camilla Tominey here?
Well, I've never really liked Kay Burley. I've never seen the appeal. One thing I would say about her is she doesn't look as old as she is, which is a compliment. But as I've said in your show before, you can't trust people that cut their hair using a salad bowl. So that goes against her.
Okay, Luca Watson, what about you? Was this unfair of Camilla Tominey to go for Kay Burley on the day after she had effectively been axed from her role?
Well, I don't know about unfair, but it's a pretty low blow, I think. And look, I have no dog in this fight or cat in this cat fight. And I don't know why they've got this sort of personal drama between them. But I do think it was a pretty low blow, especially the little snide comments like twice divorced and things like that. Didn't seem very professional to me.
It is interesting, though, when you look at that wider question about the mainstream media. I guess the one area where I would say Camilla maybe shouldn't be so smug, Charlie, is that she is an absolute mainstream media person. And if you look at the Daily Telegraph, they're struggling to Very few people are listening to her new podcast, The Daily Tea, despite huge investment, huge innovation. GB News is losing money hand over fist. I mean, it's very easy for Camilla Tominey to look over at Kay Burley and laugh, but I would argue that GB News and the Daily Telegraph, while being two of the more sound organizations within the mainstream media, are also going to be facing their own challenges.
Of course. I mean, I'll give it 12 months before they start monetizing their X account and calling it a day. The mainstream media, I've never understood how they can lose money because everyone watches it. Everyone gets invested in the lies they tell and the propaganda, and somehow, I mean, they make no money. I heard somewhere a long time ago that Sky News hasn't turned a profit since it was initially launched. How has it gone on for so long? I don't understand. I mean, look, the more these channels fail, the better for us, because people who go online and put their heads above the parapet and take criticism from left, right, and centre, like you have, and friends that we've got in common have, like, that's good because we're genuine and honest. We have genuinely held opinions and we want to do some good stuff. These people are just paid off and they're doing what they're told to do, and we all know that. So the sooner they get gone, the better.
100%. I mean, completely corrupted because they all work for billionaires. I mean, remember, Kay Burley used to be considered on the right when she was employed by Rupert Murdoch, and Sly News was a Murdoch channel. Then the moment there was a change in ownership and Concast, as Donald Trump calls it, took over, Burley all of a sudden went woke and gave into that left-wing brigade. I think the really important thing about the types of media that we're all doing now is that we just tell it as we see it, and we don't try and hide our points of views, and we're not funded by billionaires as well, which means that we're far less likely to be corrupted. I do find it hilarious, though, because I feel like the mainstream media, on the Titanic, and you've got the band, and they just kept playing as the ship went down, playing the violins. I feel like there's a bit of that going on because the RTS Awards, which is like the most wanky, awful group of people who all think the same way, announced their nominations yesterday. And their nominations for the best network daily news program of the year were genuinely Channel 4 News, ITV News, and The World with the elder Hakeem at Sky News. I've got examples of them to show you in a moment. And the political journalist of the year, Charlie, this was the one I couldn't believe. Paul Brand of Woke ITV, Beth Rigby of Sly News, and Sam Coates from Sly News. They were the three people nominated.
I mean, look, I'm a Politico and I don't watch any of them. So what does that tell you? I mean, if they want to pat themselves on the back and say we deserve an award for being the best news show and the best political podcast or whatever they're going to win their awards for, I'm not interested. I'm sure you're not interested. I'm sure Luca's not interested. And I'm sure your viewers aren't interested. So, well done. But that's as far as it goes.
I do think there has been a particular meltdown, though, far bigger than ever over the past few days in terms of Donald Trump. And I wanted to show you two examples that I picked up last night because I find it totally astonishing that these channels and these broadcasters genuinely claim to be impartial, genuinely claim to be regulated by the off-communists, where they are not meant to take a political position. And remember, in the case of Woke ITV as well, they are a public broadcaster, which means they should not be taking a political position. But when it comes to Donald Trump, they just cannot help themselves. So the first example of this, and my God, it riled me last night, and I have to say it riled lots of you too, because there's been a huge reaction to this, but it was part of an exchange between Tom Bradby and Robert Peston. Watch.
Well, look, we've often talked, haven't we, about what Keir Starmer is going to do if Donald Trump more and more departs from the values, frankly, that we as nations have shared pretty much harmoniously, give or take, since the Second World War and indeed before that. Things like this really do seem to suggest a fork in the road. But how does Keir Starmer handle that?
And I mean, as I say, this post is going totally viral, but I thought I would share what Winston Marshall had to say about this, where he responded saying the British MSM are at best unreconstructed globalist Blairites. They still don't understand Trump. They still don't understand Brexit. They still don't understand worldwide populist revolution. They still don't realise their worldview is completely crumbling, Charlie Sansom.
I would agree. I mean, since Trump got into office again, I've noticed some positivity around the world. There has been this upheaval of upsurge, even of goodwill, and I think that the media in this country, the media abroad, they're all going to get in line eventually. They're all going to get in line eventually because you've seen how corporations have ditched some of their DEI stuff and they've got rid of the woke
Even
directives.
Google has today.
Yeah, it's incredible. And that's the Trump effect. And it goes to show how important America is as a country. It is the most important country on earth, and it can change the way the world operates. And it's showing that right now.
Where do you stand, Luca Watson, on the mainstream media meltdown over Donald Trump? But first, did you know that sleeping less than 6 hours per night doubles the risk of early death? Poor sleep is also linked to obesity, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, and a weakened immune system. Now, I've struggled with sleep for a while, actually. I tried everything, but found it difficult to wind down and sometimes lay my head down on that pillow before 2 a.m. And I'm not alone. The CDC reports over 35% of adults in the US sleep less than the recommended 7 hours. Many sleep supplements contain melatonin and other ingredients that cause dependencies, morning grogginess, and actually lose their effectiveness over time. So that's why I now take Evening Bean, a brand new product by Verso. After 3 years of protecting the formula, they created a melatonin-free drink mix with clinically studied, patented ingredients. It's formulated to calm an active mind, help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and improve deep and REM sleep, all without creating dependencies or causing morning grogginess. Now, I actually look forward to drinking my Evening Bean every night, not only because it helps me fall asleep faster without having to get up in the middle of the night, but I wake up easier too. And it tastes so good. It's actually become my new nightcap. And don't worry, if you're vegan or on a keto diet, it's absolutely perfect to fit in with all of that. So click the link in the show description or head on over to buy.ver.so/outspoken and use the coupon code outspoken at checkout to save 15% on your first order. Try Evening Bean tonight and you'll wake up feeling refreshed tomorrow. Let me just repeat the address for you. buy.ver.so/outspoken and use the coupon code outspoken at checkout to save 15%. But now, back to the show.
Well, I actually read that clip a bit differently. I think it shows that they do understand that their worldview is crumbling, and that's what he was alluding to. The fact that Donald Trump doesn't share the values of the post-war order that have reigned from roughly 1945 between Britain, America, and most of the West. They recognize that he is not somebody who believes in many of the institutions that were set up in the post-war order. And I think it's created an element of confusion. Okay, where is the world going now? What should Britain do? Do we try and stick to it, which seems to be what Starmer's doing, and insist that no, we will absolutely keep to these institutions and so on? Or are we forced now to change with the times and try and keep up with whatever Trump is doing, which I think we can all say is pretty erratic. We never know from one day to the next exactly what he's going to be announcing. So I think it shows that the mainstream and the post-war order is now crumbling. People recognize that, but are still confused as to what exactly to do next.
Well, that's
do you really think erratic?
Oh, sorry
to cut in there. I was wondering what you find erratic about him, Luca. I think that you can just expect common sense now.
Well, I don't think anyone was expecting him to announce that the US was going to take over Gaza and have it as some colony to
okay,
run
yeah,
back.
I'll give you that.
This is what I mean. I don't think even Netanyahu was expecting it, and he was sitting next to him.
He was delighted, though.
He was
this is what has prompted this meltdown. And I mentioned Sly News in this show, The World. And again, what I want you to do is just listen really closely to the language used. And remember, these are meant to be impartial news presenters. Watch.
Now, of course, we know the US president is a real estate man at heart. For him, foreign policy is partly about expansion and aggression. But we also know from his first term in office that he prefers to adopt the so-called madman theory, behaving like he's capable of just about anything, saying crazy things. The more outlandish, the better, to force leaders to take action. He's 3 weeks into Trump 2.0, and we're starting to get used to this daily circus.
So a circus, and he's a madman, Charlie Sampson, according to Sly News.
Well, if he's a madman, then I'd vote for him. Maybe that makes me a madman too, but I like the direction that he's taking America in. I don't think he says crazy, outlandish things to get world leaders to do what he wants. I just think he's strong. I think he has a strong approach, and it's very much taking no prisoners, which is what America needs. He's putting America first, which is what the Americans voted for, and that's what they should get. If only we had leaders here that did the same thing for us, it would be a miracle if we did. But Trump's doing all the things that the Americans want. Canada folded overnight, Mexico folded. I did find the Gaza thing a little bit eyebrow raising, because it plays into what a lot of people think about that conflict, which is that it was pretty much allowed to happen for this strip of land to be demolished, for somebody to come in and take it over. I think most people thought it would be Israel. Now we know it's going to be America. It doesn't sit right with me, the Gaza thing, but, you know, the guy's getting things done, and that's what the Americans voted for.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I love the ambition. I love the ambition. I love the idea that we just don't do the same thing time and time again, because quite frankly, it hasn't worked, has it? It never worked. But look, absolutely brilliant to have you both today. Thank you so much to my superstar panel, Charlie Sampson, host of X Uncensored on Spaces, and Luca Watson, the author of Luca's Substack. And thank you so much for your company today. Actually, lots of interesting feedback coming in from you. And I was really fascinated by this on Starmer, by the way, and talking about why Starmer has done this secret visit to Southport. And Straight Outta Cornwall wrote, I don't think he's evil. I think he's on the spectrum and has no moral compass. He's transfixed with rules. Get him out now. But Becca Stephanie wrote, if it was my child who was killed or hurt in that awful massacre, I would never speak to this evil man. And Helen Shepherd, I love what you're getting at here. He could have seen his voice coach over Zoom. He didn't have to see her in person unless she was there for other reasons. Now, Greatest Britain, Union Jackass time. It's been tighter than I expected today, actually. Let me remind you of the nominees as I reveal who has won. In third place, you haven't gone with me today, Meghan Markle, nominated by @JFDTA for her stupid Billie Eilish t-shirt post, Just So Tone Deaf. In second place, Kemi Badenoch with 22% of the vote, nominated by Northy Vitch for doing the least she could at PMQs yesterday, but with 60% of the vote. And our Union Jackass this Thursday, Rachel Reeves, nominated by Amanda Louise, 77, for ruining our economy. Now, you know we do something really exciting for Friday, so I will launch this poll in the community very, very soon. And what we do is we put all 4 nominees for Union Jackass, as in the 4 winners of Union Jackass from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and they compete head-to-head to be named Union Jackass of the Week. So I can just remind you, this is going to be a really interesting contest this week, because we have the Woodhill Governor, Nicola Marfleet, she, of course, of Tommy Robinson fame, but then 3 big Labour beasts, Angela Rayner, Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves. So go to the community soon after the show and I will launch that poll and will announce tomorrow the worst Britain in the world this week. Coming up, though, in the uncancelled after show, remember we moved to Substack, www.outspoken.live, a major development in this legal case between Prince Harry and the Heritage Foundation, as it looks like a judge may well release his immigration documents. Plus, there is a real clue in this Meghan Markle Instagram disaster, which potentially gives some rise to speculation about her marriage. Royal YouTube sensation, according to Taz, is standing by. We will have that discussion on Substack, www.outspoken.live. So at this stage, we move off YouTube and Rumble, move to Substack to host the Uncancelled After Show. And we are back live tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time, midday Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Hit subscribe right now if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble. Oh my goodness, though, I've just realized I forgot to name the Greatest Britain. And that would have been terrible because this was a great nomination from Muriel MBE. And it is Sharon Davies because she has been going through hell fighting for women's rights in sport. And actually, I just wanted to show you in regards to this. Sorry, I totally forgot. I was going to do this earlier, but I really wanted to show you Donald Trump and what happened yesterday at the White House when he signed this executive order ensuring that the rights of women, biological women in sport would be protected, because I think it shows just how out of touch the way Sly News and Woke ITV present them. Watch this.
If you'd like to gather around me, I think I'm going to be okay. Come on. Come on. Hello. Secret Service is worried about them? If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to do this? Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay? Are you ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature because this is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
God bless you, Mr. President.
Now, isn't that funny? Because that is the side of Trump, and that beautiful moment is the type of thing from Trump that you never see in the mainstream media. You literally just never see it. And Sharon Davies is a real hero of mine. I adore the woman. She has fought such an important fight for women's sport. Anyone who has followed my story on this knows I'm incredibly passionate about this. I love women's sport. I support my London Pulse girls at the netball. And thank goodness that Trump is bringing some sanity to this issue of protecting women's sport. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.